out. Okay, this is recording. Yes, it is. Okay, let me share screen. Is there anything I need to know? Not really. Okay, so let me share screen. Share screen right here. Okay. All right. All right. Can everyone see this? All right. Awesome. All right. Let me start this. So, let me switch display. There you go. All right. I think we're good. Okay. So, hi everyone, or howdy rather. My name is Min, and we have Ross right here accommodate me for today weekend review. So basically, last week we talked about the beginning of PA1, where we talk about file data transfer. I mean data point and data transfer, and we talk about how to use them for your packets, and we talk about how to create channel, how to do fork and exec. So my first question is there anything before general question or anything that I can answer real quick? Anything like that? Nope. Awesome. All right. So if you have any question about the homework part or the PA, some specific book, we can talk about that after, or we can talk about it, during my office hour from 4 to 5, or next session when nobody comes to 3:12. Okay, so let's get started. So due dates for next week, of course, we have PA1 due next week. So make sure you catch up with everything. Who's queuing me, dude? Okay, no worries. Okay, so we have PA1, and then we have quiz 9 and 10. Make sure you do it, and then quiz 8 also due tomorrow. So make sure you get them in. Keep up with the good work. You will be done in no time. And so let me. So about last week again. So we have server runs as a child process. We have single point data. We have multiple point data, and we have new channel. So hopefully you have a chance to work on it and pass all of these. Again, this is not a quiz. Dr. Tiagi told me it's for bonus points. So if you think it's a quiz, don't worry about it. It's not for a grade or anything like that. It's for bonus point and get some free grades. So today we talk about file transfer. So this is the most complicated quote unquote part of the whole stuff. But once you look at it and you understand it, it's actually quite simple. And by understanding this, it will help you a lot in future PA. So there's that. Okay. So file transfer consists of two phases: getting the file size and transferring the file. Because without the file size, you can't really start the offsets and sliding that will tell you in a bit. And so that you need to get the size of the file first, and then you can do the transferring. So let's get an overview. And before we continue, I just want to let you know that everything I do is in Paint. If you have any comment or if you can't read anything, my apologies. I will try to accommodate that in the future, maybe by throwing like actual graphics or something. But this is just how I think about things and how I draw it. So hopefully that it's quite nice. So let's go. An overview is that you have a file. I call it min homework folder.txt. And then let's say the size of the file is 500. So your goal is, and you have these offsets right here. If you look at the file message that you can look from the common.h file, you can see that you have the offsets and the length. So in this case, the goal is to slide this offset all the way to the end, so that you can transfer all parts of the file to your client. So let's say if the buffer is 55, remember buffer capacity, then you can think of it as you partition the file into 55 byte chunk. So 55, 110, 165, all the way to the end. And then we can talk about it, like what happened if you 945 to 500, like how do you get the last 5 bytes? So we will talk all about that. So let's start with get the size of the file, of course. So the goal is you create a packet with the file message and set it to 00 plus the file name plus the null pointer, and you send it to the server. Why do we need the null pointer at the end? Is because in my implementation, at least, is I create an array of character, so C string kind of style. So it doesn't include the null pointer at the end. And for C string to work, you need the null pointer at the end for it to work well. So you send this whole thing to the server. The server then will check for the file name. It will check the size of the file based on the file name in the BIMDC folder. So make sure when you create a file for testing, it is inside BIMDC file folder. So then once it checked, if it see it, then it will return back the length, an integer length in byte. So in this this one, let's say, then it will return back my min homework folder.txt. It will return back 500 bytes. So any questions so far, or that makes sense? All right, that's good. Okay, let's go on to, so that's the overview. So as I mentioned, every packet that's sent to the server contains file message with offset and length, plus the file name, plus the null terminator for the C string. So you make sure that you don't want to send the string to the server. You want to send the C string style, C style, to the server. So an array of characters with the null terminator at the end. So the first step is to create an empty packet. And how do you create an empty packet? Well, you need to calculate the size of the packet first. So packet size, so let's say this variable called packet size, and make sure there's an underscore right there, equal to size of file message plus string length of file name plus 1, and we need the 1 more space for the null terminator. So that's pretty simple and straightforward. And then once you get the packet, so let's say you get the size of the packet, you create the packet. So in this case, assume the size of the packet is 24. So 24 right here is the 24 byte right here is for the file message. File message is always 24 byte, and then the null terminator is always 1 byte. So then this is the variable part. So you cannot really create a fixed array of a fixed size. You really have to dynamically create a packet of a variable size. So you have to use dynamically allocated array. And make sure you delete at the end, of course. If you have the new character, make sure you delete them at the end. So in this case, 24 plus maybe the name of the file is 10, and then plus 1. So now you will get a return back a packet like this with the packet pointer point to the 0th position of the packet. And the packet size right here will be 35. So now once you create the empty packet, now you put in the information needed to send to the server. So the first one, the header of the file of the packet will contain file message. So in this case, I do mem copy. I have the packet pointer point to the beginning, and then you put the file message of 00. This right here 00 indicates to the server that you want the length or the size of the file. So this is a special message, is that if you put 00 in a file message and send it to the server along with the file name, then it will return back the length of the file or the size of the file. So, and then you do size of file. So that from position 0 to 23rd will contain the file message. Okay. So then you put the last part, which is the file name and the null terminator. So what you have to do is if you keep the packet pointer without moving it, without adding this, then it would just start copying from the beginning again. So it would start from position 0 and overwrite file message, and that would cause problem. So what you do is you have to move this pointer by doing addition. So we move from position 0 to position 24th, and then point the packet pointer there, and then you put the file name plus the null terminator at the end, and then the length of it as so that you can put the file name and the null terminator at the end of the file. So this is the entire packet that you will send to the server. So this summarized the whole thing, and this part is a huge hint for you for the file transfer part. Although this is the getting the length part, you can see that for the file transfer part, you will use the exact very similar code for this part. So you have the offset and the length set to 0. You calculate the size of the packet. You create the file message with the parameter being 0, 0. You create a packet, and then you just memory copy them, as I mentioned. So that's the entire getting the length of the file. Is there any questions so far? Question number 1, question number 2, question number 3. Well, no question. Well, I'm glad. So once you get the length of the file, okay, then, or the size of the file, now you do the transfer part. So let's go to transfer the file. Okay, so we come back to this picture again. Oh, okay. We come back to this picture again of the overview of the min homework folder.txt. And now the goal, as I mentioned, is now you want to drag this offset all the way to the end until size equal 500. And then you get the, and based on the buffer capacity that you set with the -m, flag, you can partition the file the way that you want. Okay. So the process is quite simple. So let's start with the process. So the process is, so now the first, in the file transfer part, you first transfer, let's say the buffer size is 55 and the size is 500. Then you set the offset to 0, right? The current offset right now is 0. Then the length would be the buffer capacity, would be 55. So you transfer byte 0 to byte 54, and these parameters will be put in the file message, and then you create the file, the packet to send to the server using the one that you use for length. So the concept is exactly the same as when you do the length. So again, that's why I said this is a very, very huge hint for you, so that you can do most of the code. So the offset will be 0, and you send to the server. The server will then return back 55 bytes, the first 55 bytes, and then you just put it in the buffer. Again, you have the buffer, so that you put the return using cread, you read it into the buffer, and then you write it out to the file. And I will show you a little bit of code that you need to write to the file. So then same thing. Now you increment the 55 to the offset. So now the offset now point right here to position 55th rather. So then now again, length is still capacity because it's not till the end, right? Then the buffer now is still 55. Now you transfer from position 55th to 109th, right? Because 110 is the next chunk. So again, you set the offset to 55, the length to buffer capacity, and you put it into the packet. And then you send to the server return back the chunk, and then you put it into the buffer, you write the buffer to the side of the file, and there you go. You just transfer another 55 bytes. So wow, so this is how I did it. I put it in a while loop. So while offset is less than the size of the file, you keep transferring that way, right? You keep repeating the process. Once you do this, 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 blah, 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 until the very end. And then I will talk in like 1 second about how to deal with the last part. So you keep doing the while loop until the offset is equal to this to the size. Any questions so far? Wow. Okay, no question. Is it actually clear, or are y'all still confused about? Because I just want to make sure that you guys are understanding this. Make sense? Okay. Okay, okay. So how to ensure the last part then? Well, the last part again, offset right here now become 495, right? At the end. So now you don't want the length to be buffer capacity again, because that is 55 bytes. You want at the end, when this, maybe you add an if condition inside the loop that says if sorry, 1 second. If buffer capacity is greater than size minus offset, then buffer capacity becomes size minus offset. Like, you understand? So now buffer capacity will become 500 minus 495, and that will be 5, right? So that means the last transfer will be 5 bytes. So you will still put it in the buffer of size 55, but you just mean that you just export the first 5 bytes of the buffer to the file, and you will get the last 5 bytes of the file transfer. So this is how you open and close the file to read. So again, you have an F out, and then you have the string folder, full directory. In this case, it's the receive folder. Make sure you have this receive folder created, and then the string of the file name. And then you make sure you open it in binary mode, because we transfer bits by bits. We do not transfer like the X1 from the multiple data points. You actually transfer bits by bits. And so then inside your for loop, you would have for, right, buffer capacity. So again, at the last 5 bytes, if you see this, buffer is still 55 bytes, but the buffer capacity will be 5. So that means it will write the first 5 bytes to the file. So you get the full files. And normally it would be buffer size of 55. And then this would also be 55, so that it write full 55 bytes out to the server. And of course, it not just 55 bytes. It can be any bytes, of course. I will talk in a bit. I will talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And then make sure after you're finished transferring all the bits, make sure you close the file at the end. So, or if else, I think it will cause problem. So that's basically most of the code, actually. So any questions so far? That's basically the whole file transfer. It's pretty simple. It might be intimidating at first, but once you know how to create packets, it's really not that bad. Oh, okay. Okay. I can actually let me. Okay. So I will hide this. Actually, this code I will show you all in a bit anyway, so it doesn't matter. So are you asking about how to create? Let me check. Are you asking about how to create the truncate, or how? What do you mean by transferring? Like, are you having problem with this part where it transfer? Oh, yes. Okay, so when you create a with the truncate, what it does, it is create a dummy file with the size of you need. So let's say if I want to, let's type truncate, and I hope this is viewable. We'll zoom in a little bit so that it's easier to view. So that's ls. So I want to go and create a file in BIMDC. So I will cd into BIMDC. And if you ls, oh, lsl, my bad. There you go. You can see this dat file will have, I think, 1 to 100 megabytes. Okay, so you can type how you create a file is you do truncate and s. I think this s, and then the size of file again. Let's do 1 kilobyte, and then the name of the file. So let's do dummy.data. And if you do lsl, again, you have this dummy file, 1,000. So this is a dumb garbage file that you can't really read. The goal of the whole truncate thing is so that you can see the file, you can create a dummy file without having to like download some random file with a specified file with specified files size that you need. So you can't really read this. It's binary. So you can, all you do is you truncate and then you just transfer it over. So let's say if I want to transfer, so I do time. I will show you time in a bit, but I do .client the file and then that -m for the buffer size, and will transfer successfully. So let me cd out, and then let me put this time client in, and wait for it. There you go. So it transfers successfully right here to that data.dat right here. So that's what it means. That the whole point of this is so that you can transfer any file and it will still work. That's the goal. So even if you have texted or not, if you have garbage, it doesn't matter. As long as it can transfer every bits by bits, that's the whole goal. Does that make sense? Yes, yes. That's a way to make it, yeah. I have, it depends on how 312 goes. I might actually keep hosting 313 like office hour during 312 because nobody comes to 312. But my official office hour is from 4 to 5. Of course, there's Ross right here who can also help with that. I don't know, are you going to be here until 3? Awesome. There you go. Thank you. Yep. So any other questions so far? Okay. All right, we can go back to the presentation and then you can have more specific question at the end. So let me switch back again. Oh my God. Okay. So now we put things together. So everything you have done is all the thing that I show you in this one, and then plus the file transfer part. So let's talk about a little bit about modularity in the code, because when I help people, one thing I realize is that most people write everything in main, and although that works, it's really hard to read and it's really hard to decode. Like when I try to help, if you are in my position, you want to be able to identify the part that is wrong as fast as possible. And one way to be able to do that is to modularize your code. So in this case, instead of doing everything in the main, what I do is I have all the main functionality spread out into functions like this. So in this case, for a single data point will be a double, will return a double, that's just a single data point. And then for patient data, what I do is I just add additional logics and then just call this multiple times, like 1,000 times. And then it doesn't return anything. It just export to a file. And then for get length, of course, you get the length, and then that will immediately be called by transfer file so that you can reuse this code without having all the logics from request file length get cluttered inside transfer file, so that you can read your code easier and make it faster to debug. And then the last two things I have is a new channel. So you can create a new channel here, and then a remove channel to remove channel. So basically in here, you just sent a message to, new channel message to the server, and it will return back a name for the channel. And then you use FIFO constructor to create a new channel. And then in remove channel, all it does is you just send, if let's say you want to delete channel A, what you do is you pass in channel A as a parameter, and then you just send a quit message from using that channel, and it will kill the channel. And one last thing I want to emphasize is that you do not want to delete control channel until everything else is already done, because once you send a quit message to the control channel, the server shut down. So any logics after that, like cleaning up the channels that you created, cleaning up everything else, will not work. So you have to make sure you do everything, and then at the end you deallocate or you delete the control channel at the very end. So that's just one thing that I noted from helping people. So you can see that by doing that, this is my main. This is my entire main. So you have patient. If patient is, so if my default parameter is patient is 0, there's no patient 0. So if patient is greater than 0, that means you're telling me to do the patient transfer. So if, and I set t equal to -1, because if t is specified, that means you want a single data point. If t is not specified, I set t to 0, although I never use it again, but I just want to make sure correctness is that t start at 0, because sometimes when I do not set this, it causes problem. So I just set it like that to make sure that it's to ensure correctness. And then if file name, at first my file name is a null pointer. So if file name is not a null pointer, I initiate the transfer file. So you can see that this whole code in main is so much cleaner than writing everything in here, because then you can isolate problem if you wonder if this is the problem of how you do the condition that might not be right or something. So to ensure that, make sure, so that's what I want to say, is that making the code modular will help you in the long run. And then I remove channel at the very end. One last note is that if you can see right here, do you see this code? You can see that it's channels. That means I create a vector of channels. Why do I do this? Is because for PA3, when you do multiple channels transfer at the same time, you want to put it in a vector to keep track of the channels so that you can kill them at the end. So this is the way to do it. And then I remove control channel at the very end. I do not remove this until everything is done. So the last fact that I learned from Gabe is that CSCE checks the length of an array at compile time. So it does not work with dynamically allocated array. I did not learn this. Trust me. I've been here for 3 years of computer science, and I still don't know this. So this is something I want to pass back, is that if you're going to check the buffer or pass in the buffer like I do with modular code, make sure you also pass in the size, the capacity as well. So if you go back to here, I also pass in the buffer capacity alongside with the buffer. And the last thing that you need for your code is for the report, is that you need to time your code. So as you can see, it's actually pretty simple. Before you run the client f data, you put the time keyword at the beginning, and then you run it. So in this case, you can see that my code initially, the default, if you remember, is 256 byte for the buffer size. You can see that it takes about 13 seconds to transfer a 100 megabyte file. And then I try the same thing, but with double the buffer size. You can see that it go down to 6, and then double again, it go down to 4, double again, it go down to 2, and go on and so on and so on. So in your report, you should be able to see a linear relationship between the buffer size capacity and the transfer time. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. So any question? Now it's time for the question. Any general question, anything that I can help with that can benefit everyone? Yes. So for this PA, you don't need multiple channels. Yes. Yeah. Is it helpful? Is there anything confusing about? Is there any improvement that I should do, or it's good enough? Oh, hidden test cases. All right. While I do that, Connor, do you have anything you want to say? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I spent 2 hours drawing all the MS Paint. It's quite fun, but I will charge Dr. Lake for that. No, I'm just kidding. So let me see. Modules. So what part are you talking to? Okay. Okay. Oh, hang on. Yep. Discussion. I'm sorry. What assumption caused this test to pass, but not binary file transfer to pass? Command. Okay. Yes, indeed. Yes. 1,000 right here. Right. What possible issues could arise from writing the data to x1.csv? How could this be tested? As it's an edge case. Is there anything that oh, I know. What happened if instead of doing, because by default, right? It's set, let's see. So by default, this n right here indicates the number of patient point that you need. I don't know if you actually need it, but let's say the file, okay, let's say the file is, let's drag it down, is 15,000 data points. Let's say what happened if you request 16,000. How do you know how to deal with that, right? Doesn't have an end flag? Okay. What can it be then? Oh, what if it's patient 18? Yeah. There's not a cases? Okay. What arise from X1? Yeah, you would just override it. Let me see. So if I do that, let's just try it right now and see what happened. So client, and you do P, you do like 10, no, 10. Okay. That take like 1 second to transfer, or a few seconds to transfer, but okay. So now if I check this, I mean, it works. So if what happened if I do 11 right now, what happened? Well, it's just gonna override things, right? I think. Yeah, it just files. Yep. Is it override? Yep. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, this is probably something you probably have to ask the TA again. But if you pass all the test case, you're in pretty good shape. I can't really think of a reason why writing to X1 would be a problem, unless maybe you're writing two things at once. So maybe what happened if you do client? Yeah, but and one thing you can do is, what if you do like multiple of them at once, like this, like I don't know. It doesn't work. Well, oh, okay. So it okay. So it just runs. I assume it would just run until it's done like this. Yeah. So I will, if I do this, so the way you don't do hang is you do this, and maybe that would work. What happened? I don't know. So this one will run, this one will run, this one will run, all at the same time. So let's see what happened. Okay. Does it call it again? Oh. Yep. Yep. It just crashed. Yeah. So again, I'm probably not the best one to answer this one because I'm really not sure what they meant by that. Maybe he was trying to imply something that I don't know. So maybe if you want to, you can ask him on team, and he will try Zeke on team, and then he might be able to clarify that. Yep. Yep. All right. Any other question? Wait, make sure I'm recording. Am I recording? Yes, I am. Hopefully. If not, we're doomed. Anyway, and any other question that I can answer right now? Anything in general, or any concept that you're still confused about, or you have anything, how to debug thing, how to do anything like that? Oh, yes. Packet size. Right here. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. This is basically what you will literally write in your code, and then you try to leverage this logic to send. This is actually, I'm kind of cheating right now, but because I showed you literally everything, Microsoft just showed you this so that it's easier to read. Is that this is basically 90% of my get length, and then for the file transfer part, you could just repeat this, but changing the file message. That's it. And of course, for if you send the length to the server, it receives back as an integer. But as when you do the file transfer, you don't receive back integer. You receive back bits. So you put all the bits into the buffer, that you created at the beginning. So that's the only thing that you really need to be careful about, which is the offset and the stuff like that. So beside that, this is basically the syntax that you need to build the packets to send the server. Yep. Yep. Anything else? We have 22 minutes. So I really did not plan for what will happen. Anything? Yes. Oh, oh, glad you asked. This is something I've been stressing about for the last, I guess, 2 days. So one thing about my code that doesn't work is if and this is very funny, but I last year when I took the note, I think 2 years ago when I took this class, my old code is very messy. I still try to modular it back then, but it was very messy, and it was very hard to read. But one thing it did better. So this time I rewrote. I look at my old code, and then I try to rewrote the whole program so that I can understand and then put it in the slides. And one thing I will tell you that I still cannot fix is that if I do my old code, if I do my new code, if I do this, that's me. If I do data like this, right? And then, but if I put the buffer as 1, it would crash. But my old code will not crash, even though I check every single line and it's very similar. It would not crash, but it would crash this one. So make sure if you vary it by a very small amount that it like you can see right here. And instead of sending to data, you can see it check for BIMDC-Q. That means there's something wrong with my file name with my file name string, which I don't know exactly. So make sure you check that in your code as well. But if it, yeah. Mm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. Really? Hmm. So I see. Yeah, I was thinking like that as well. But so that's why I was like, okay, maybe it was the server problem. But when I try with my old code, so this is my entire old code, which I still have it. It's very messy. So if I run this, I do make all, and then I think I just have to do like make clean. I think I would just have to do client and then file name. I think let's see what I transferred. BIMBC t.mp4. So back then I have a test as an MP4 file. And if I vary it as like, let's say 1. Wait, does it work? I think wait, hang on. Sorry about that. Make clean, make all. There you go. Then I think if I do this, it should take, well, it can work. Yeah, it will crash on that. Hang on, I refuse to believe that's the case because I tested it. I'm like, no, it does. It works. This card change. Server. Let's see. Server. Right. Maybe that's the case. Where is it at? I think it's like. Oh, sorry. Where did you get to find this one? Oh. So let's see. Okay. Offsets. Oh. Oh, I see. Uh, oh, okay. That's something. Because I was very suspicious. I was like, maybe it is because of this. That's why it caused problem. But I was not sure because maybe I was like, maybe the code was the same. Okay. I see. All right. Yeah. So if it's too short, if it's too small, it causes problem. And it might not be your fault. So yes. Yes. Yes, that's definitely something you should put in. So that's there you go. Thank you to Peter, right? Peter? Yes, thank you for that. Yep. Because I swear to God, dude, my old code works, and I'm just like, it took me like literally my whole afternoon, and it would work, but then, come on, dude, fine, I give up. Whenever I show y'all like this, it would not work. But then the moment I turn off the stream and I start thinking about it again, it would work. Anyway, so Any other question? Thank you, Peter, for that. That's definitely something that you should do, is that you check for the bound, make sure the buffer is not too small. I also want to point out is that if you change the buffer size, you need to make sure you also change it in the fork, in the thing. So in this case, I have the fork right here. You have to put the when you call the server, you make sure you put the -m right here, and then you put the buffer capacity in, so that it also changes, because you need the buffer capacity on both sides to be the same. All right, I guess there's no more question. I will end the stream. Any other question before, like, one more time, and then I will close the recording, and then I will answer like more individual question. All right, I guess nobody have any other question. Okay, so I will stop the stream. I mean, stop the recording. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, right, yes. Right. Yes. I assume that would kind of be, you're right. Let me stop recording first. So